Today I thought it would be fun to share my journey to FIRE. And no, I'm not talking about the flames type of FIRE, but financial independence, retire early. And if you haven't heard of the FIRE community or FIRE movement, you're definitely going to want to check out this video. I'm going to explain what FIRE is, how I got on the path to FIRE, and how I actually achieved financial independence. That's right, I've retired early. I am Tiffany Thomas with wealthytiffany.com, and I achieved financial freedom like I just said. And I'm also a millionaire. If you're looking to do one or both of those things, make sure and hit that like button and hit the subscribe button, and we're going to dive right in. All right, first off, what is FIRE exactly? It stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. And there is a community of people out there that have achieved financial independence and have retired early, or they at least have the option to retire early. And now they can live the life that they really want to be living because they aren't relying on someone else for money, and they are not relying on work for money. So they can work if they want to, but they don't have to work. I actually ended up quitting my job about 5 years ago when I was 36, so happy 5-year anniversary of not having a 9-to-5 job for me. But when I had quit my job, I didn't know about FIRE. I didn't know that there were so many people retiring early, or at least having that option to retire early. I just knew I wasn't happy at my job anymore, and I had a few things in place that helped make it all right for me to quit my job, to feel good about it. I had a savings, and then I also had a brokerage account with some investments in there. And then I had real estate properties. So I had cash flow coming in from those properties, plus I had roommates. So I had extra cash flow coming in from them as well. And I had started my business just a little bit before then and thought, you know what, I'm just going to quit my 9-to-5 job and see how my business goes. And if it doesn't go well, then I can always get another job somewhere else. So that's exactly what I did. I ended up quitting my job, which was still scary. Even though I had things in place to do that, it's still a little nerve-wracking. But overall, I am glad that I did quit my job then, because I really wasn't happy there, and nothing else seemed to be working out when I was applying for other jobs. And then, lucky for me, not too long after I quit, I think it was just a couple of months, I heard about people using the 4% rule to figure out how much money they would need to retire. I had a coworker that we would eat lunch together in the lunchroom because we always brought our lunches, and we would talk about how much we needed to retire, and we had no idea. We didn't know if it was $1 million, $2 million, if we would ever be able to retire. So hearing that people were figuring out exactly how much they needed to retire was amazing to me, and that they were actually retiring, and retiring at young ages, in their 30s, 40s, some even in their 20s. So I needed to get more information about this. And that's what I did. I did some more research. And the first article I found, I think it was by Cash Cow Couple, and they explained what the 4% rule is. And I do have a video about this with all of the details, so I'll leave a link above and below. But essentially, if you take your annual expenses and multiply that by the number 25, that is the amount of money you would need to have invested in order to live off 4% of your investments and not run out of money in retirement. So once I found the Cash Cow Couple article, I started doing more research, and I figured out that there were a lot of other people using this 4% rule. I also found Paula Pant with affordanything.com. She has some really great content, especially about real estate. So if you are interested in that at all, I will leave a link to her website below. You should definitely check it out. And then I also found Mr. Money Mustache. He is a huge contributor to the FIRE movement. And then there were just so many others that I had found. I knew that I had to be a part of this FIRE movement because of all of these people, and they were just average people, were able to retire at a young age, then I could definitely do that as well. And in the beginning stages of the FIRE movement, it seems like a lot of people had really high salaries, over 6 figures, and that's one of the reasons that they were able to retire early. But that is not the case with everyone in the FIRE movement, and especially because it's expanded so much now, a lot of people do not make over 6 figures. And I didn't make over 6 figures when I had a 9-to-5 job either. A lot of people will get a side hustle or even a part-time job, or they will invest in real estate like I do. But they just found different ways to increase their income, and then also they were decreasing their expenses. And a lot of people think the FIRE movement is all about decreasing all of your expenses expenses and spending as little as possible, living in a small home, having hardly any belongings, and just kind of living maybe at the poverty level. But that is actually not the case. While some people may do that, it's more about focusing on your priorities and not so much on depriving yourself. So it is about prioritization, not about deprivation, which means if there's something you really love that you want to be spending your money on, then go ahead and spend your money on your priorities, and then you can cut back on the rest of the stuff that isn't really important to you. For example, maybe you don't really care about going shopping or having cute new clothes. Maybe you're fine in your black t-shirt and your jeans every day. And that's great, but maybe you love getting your nails done. So you can definitely spend money on getting your nails done, and then just don't spend money on clothes, on things that aren't important to you. Anyway, after figuring out the FIRE movement and that there were a ton of people in this movement retiring early, I knew I had to figure out my financial freedom number. So I did that formula that I talked about before, taking your annual expenses, multiplying that by the number 25, and making sure that is the number you have invested. For example, if your expenses are $40,000, you multiply that by 25, you would want to have $1 million invested and not just sitting in your savings account. You need it invested so it is working for you, so that you can start withdrawing that money and still be earning interest on that money. When I sat down to figure out my financial freedom number, I had a marker board and I wrote down all of my expenses on the marker board, and I wrote down all of my investments. And then I realized I could be including any passive income or even semi-passive income that I had coming in and subtract that from my expenses amount, because I had real estate properties. So I was collecting that cash flow every month, plus my roommates were paying me, so I was collecting cash flow from them as well. So when I did the math and I took my expenses and subtracted out the passive income that I had, and I do realize real estate is not completely passive, but it is semi-passive, and if I wanted to, I could make it even more passive and hire a property manager. But for me, I don't mind managing my properties right now. After I wrote all of those numbers on my marker board, I realized that I was super close to becoming financially free. Since I had cash flow coming in from my real estate properties, that really offset a lot of my expenses. In order to become financially free, I figured out that I would need at least one more property. So what did I do? I ended up purchasing another property, and I did that at age 38. So that is when I say that I became financially free officially, even though I was able to quit my job at age 36. And there are 3 types of FIRE, financial independence, retire early. The first type is lean FIRE. So this is when your basic expenses are covered by your investments or by your passive income. And then there is traditional FIRE. And this is when you can live the lifestyle that you're currently living with your investments or passive income. And then there is fat FIRE. And this means that you have even more money from your investments or your passive income that greatly exceeds your expenses. So you have plenty of money to spend on whatever you would like to, or plenty of money to donate if that is something that you would like to do. So when I purchased that 4th property, that put me at lean financial freedom. I was able to cover all of my basic expenses and live pretty comfortably. But then I ended up paying off one of my mortgages, and I have a video about how I did that. I'll leave a link above and below. You can check that out later on. But when I paid off that mortgage, then that put me at traditional FIRE. So all of my expenses were covered, and I could be living the same lifestyle that I was living before, which is still really amazing to me. Some days I still don't believe it. And now I'm working on becoming fat FIRE. I don't need a ton of money, but it would be nice to have a little bit of extra. Later on, I also found a podcast called Choose FI, Choose Financial Independence. A friend of mine had sent me a link to it about their travel rewards that they were talking about. But I found all of the other information so useful that I have listened to a ton of their episodes. So if you haven't checked out Choose FI, I would definitely recommend that podcast. And they also have a book called Choose FI. So if you are interested in the book, I thought it was a really good read. It is great for beginners. I will leave a link below in the description. You can click on that to purchase Choose FI if you would like to. I liked using real estate to help me achieve financial freedom even sooner, but there are also other ways that you can do that. Like I mentioned, you could do a side hustle or even get a part-time job, or even ask for a raise. Find ways to increase your income. And even if you have extra items that you could sell, that is an option to give you a little bit of boost in your income as well. And then take a look at all of your expenses. Where are you spending your money that isn't really important to you? And I personally love using a free app. It's called Personal Capital. You can hook all of your financial accounts to Personal Capital so that you can see your full financial picture in one place. You can see everything you are spending your money on. If that's something you're interested in, I will leave my referral link below in the description. You can click on that to set up a free Personal Capital account. But definitely take a look at your income and all of your expenses. Are you spending less than you are making, or are you spending more than you are making? Figure out where you need to make adjustments and do that. Because I feel like the best thing we can spend our money on is financial freedom. It really does give us more options and less stress in our lives. For me, I guess I was kind of always on the path to FIRE, but I just didn't realize it. I didn't know how much I needed to retire. I didn't know that I really should be focusing on investing more of my money rather than saving my money. But when I found that people were retiring early and they knew exactly how much they needed to retire early, it really did blow my mind, and I knew that I needed to be a part of it. And it's not that I am all about the money or that people in the FIRE movement are all about the money. It's that financial freedom provides options. It gives you choices. It gives you peace of mind because you're not stressed about money. It also gives you time freedom. You're able to spend time on things that you really want to be spending your time on instead of having to go into work if that is not something that you want to be doing. You don't have to be trading time for dollars. And I am super glad that I found the FIRE movement when I did. Of course, I wish I would have found it even earlier so I could have retired or had the option to retire earlier. But nonetheless, I'm glad I found it when I did. And I want to know, comment below and tell me if you are on the path to FIRE and where you are on that path to becoming financially independent and having the option to retire early. And if you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and share it with someone else who would like to hear this information. And hit the subscribe button to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and hit the little bell to get notified on when I post new videos. And if you want to see even more content from me, check out the videos on the side of the screen. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.